22 years ago, I was sitting in a conference room in Paris. I was sitting there with 7 colleagues, and we were talking about what are the guiding principles that's going to lead us to developing a high-performing team in the company that I worked for at that time. There was a couple of people from the business leaders, and there were a couple of people that came from HR, org development, learning and development. One more senior lady than me, I was early in my career, but one lady who was more senior than me was starting to talk about one of the key guiding principles that she really wanted us to take on. That was, we are human beings. We are not human doings. And this is how I choose to position myself today. I'm not talking about what I can do. I'll talk about what I be. And today I'm here being an expert on organization, leadership and talent development and change and transformation. So we were passed by the organization committee with 2 questions in the beginning before we started to speak. The first one is, what can I do to shape the emergences of our time? The second one was, how will I make tomorrow bloom? I started to deconstruct this one. It's not very simple. It's not an easy topic. Emergencies that are going to make tomorrow bloom. But then I was thinking, I need to start backwards to see how did I end up here today on the stage on a TEDx talk in Shanghai. I'd done a lot of choices. So did all the other speakers. They ended up and made choices that we all got into this stage here. So it started to become clear what I wanted to talk about. And I wanted to talk about choices. Because the choices we do today really gets the emergence for the future. So about 2 months ago, I met Jörke and Ina, and they were asking me and inviting me for coming to this TED talk. And they were asking me, are you willing to go and do this TED talk? And I'm like, there's a lot of things to do at the moment. Our industry is not doing well. I have a lot of work to do. What am I going to do? So, and then I remembered a quote that I learned early in my career, and that's been guiding me quite a long time, and I'll come back to it later. The quote is from Eleanor Roosevelt, and she says, one of her quotes, she has many of them, do one thing every day that scares you, at least a little bit. So do one thing every day that scares you a little bit. And those choices that scares you, that put you on the edge, is also emerging you to become something bigger than you think. So choices are what we are talking about. Look at the oranges. Which orange would you take? We're not going to reach for the same orange. Some of us would want to have firm oranges. Some of us want to have bigger, some want to have a smaller, and some want to have more softer. The funny thing with choices is that they tell us a lot about who we are as people. And it defines who we are with the beauty of choices. For example, I give you a stupid example, but I have it anyway. So about 2 months ago, or 1 month ago, I decided I need to change my car. Yes, I'm driving in Shanghai as a Laowai, but I need to change my car. I'm Swedish, so I've been driving a Volvo, safe and sound, but I work for Italians, so I need to drive something crazy and stupid. So an Italian car. So I choose to change it to an Alfa Romeo. Choices are important, tells a story about who we are. Why do I choose an Alfa Romeo? They're super stylish. They sound amazing. Why is that important to me? Because I like to impress people. Why is that important to me? Because I like to come with surprises. Why is that important to me? Because I don't want people to be able to read me and tell me who I am and might want to make different choices. Why is that important to me? Because I want to be different. I want to be unique. I want to be somebody special. That's about me. I'm buying an Alfa Romeo, and if I ask my five question, why is that important to me? I come to something which is more innate me, who I am as a person. So you are your choices. So choose wisely. There was somebody who said here, I think it was Xiaoyang, who says about be careful about your choices and choose wisely. I have the same slide, but I have another key thing on this slide. Robert Plomin is a professor at King's College in London. He's a biological genetic behavior researcher. He's talking a lot about what shapes us as people. And he comes to the conclusion, yes, there's a lot of genetics. Parents, a very, very small impact on what shapes us. Teachers, some teacher can do that. But what really shapes us is the people we hang out with, the people we go hiking with, the people that we go clubbing with, the people that we hang out with in their everyday days. I'll give you an example. I have 3 Swedish friends, or Swedish men, that really impacted my life. Peter, Per, och Ove, in the Swedish pronunciation. Peter I met when I was 6 years old. I talk to him still. He taught me one of the most important lessons in my life. It has to do with math and science. I was always sitting next to him in math class. He was the smartest guy in the room, so I was hanging out with him. He was always bullying me because he said, oh, you're so fast at math, but always wrong. So he told me how to be slow and right. And that helped me in my journey. At the end of the national exam in Sweden, in the high school, I scored 24 out of 25. And I'm still proud of myself to be pretty good at math in my head. Per, we met in the last high school years. We were both very, very curious in life, but he was much more unafraid than I was. He wanted us to go out, explore the world, go around in Europe, sleeping on beaches in Barcelona, hanging out on rooftop bars in Greece. He took us to Chamonix 2 seasons to ski. We had a great exploration of life, great exploration of the world. One of the most important things he did with me was we went to California to surf for 9 months. And that actually has a huge impact. And the choice to go there at that time has a huge impact on my career. My English improved a lot. My confidence in speaking English improved a lot. And that has an impact on my career. So the choice to go surfing in California with Per actually enabled me to do an international career. Go figure that. There was not the lessons in English. The last person, Ove, we met during the university years. We liked 3 things: drinking wine, smoking cigarettes, and reading books. The last one is probably the most important one here, I think. But we read not the course literature. We didn't talk about the non-fictional books. He was studying behavior science, I studied psychology, and we read all the contemporary writers. We read the classics. We read the Nobel Prize winners. And in these stories, we learned about people and humans. In my role today, working with leadership development, working with executive coaching, that's where I find my energy, that's where I find my answers to the discussions with these leaders, not in the non-fictional books anymore. And funnily enough, one of my heroes, Sigmund Freud, once said in a quote, when he was trying to figure out the human mind, he said, "Wherever I go, I always find there is a poet there before me." So, wherever you go in your life, there's been a poet. So read books, read about people, read about stories, and uncover those things. Last thing on choices before I come into a little bit more examples. Where you study or where you hang out has a huge impact in shaping you as a person. If you look around you, we're coming back to this room, these are the people that you have around you that actually going to shape you and creating who you are. The picture is from North Korea, by the way. I want to be special, so I'm gone there 3 times. But where you go, it's an important factor. The people you hang out with is an important factor. Being in Shanghai is shaping you a lot. I can tell I've been here for 15 years. So, where can I be and what do I have being impactful on? Where do I choose? I choose to be impactful in the field that I work in. So, 30 years ago, I met this friend. We met through acquaintances. I still talk to him. He still calls me, and he calls me for advice. He had an issue a couple of months ago with one of his employees. He has a big job now, but he chose to call me, and he's done that for the last couple of years, or quite a long time, on advice. This employee has done a misconduct that was a little bit unforgivable. And this employee was also one of the employees that has the biggest impact, most important figure for him. So he was in a dilemma. He said, what am I going to do? I asked him 3 questions. It was very simple. Do you think he had done it before? And my friend goes, yeah, probably. He probably done that. The second question is, do you think he's going to do it in the future? And my friend says, no, he said he's never going to do it again. And the third question, do you trust him? And he said, I'm really not sure about that. And that was the answer. I didn't need to give an advice. I said to him, you probably already gave your own advice. Because it's in your hand to choose to trust somebody. It's in your hand to do that and to choose trust. It's one of the cornerstones in leadership. It makes the organization work. And the beauty with trust is that we choose it. There's a great article by Robert Hurley. There's a short article in Harvard Business Review. You can probably find it online. And it's called The Decision to Trust, or The Decision to Trust, which is amazing about what happens in the cognitive factors when we actually choose to trust somebody. I'm Swedish. Swedish people, Finnish people, and Norwegian people has a strong trust. We trust everybody. We're like very super naive. We trust anyone. And that's the way we work as people. It puts a lot of challenge on me in an environment where I work, because I'm not working in Sweden and Finland or Norway anymore. The second example is, if you're given an opportunity to do something that scares you, remember Eleanor Roosevelt, consider it. My boss dared me. This is also in my beginning of my career. I'm in the end of 20s, beginning of 30s. She dares me to go to work with a management team and work with their team development. They're all older than me, at least 10, 15 years old and up. And I'm like, okay, they are booked 2-day offsite, and they're going to do team building. They want to play football, they want to cook together, they want to drink together, they want to have fun together. They don't want to do things that I think they should do. Sitting around in the circle and talking about 4 things. Who are we? Why are we here as a management team? And what are we going to do together as a management team? And how are we going to do it? So, with those questions in mind, we started to do this session. And it ended up to be a very, very successful session. 12 years later, I get an email from one of the directors who sat on the board there. She sends me an email saying, You don't know how big impact you had on us. I dare to go there, I dare to do something different, and the impact I had on those people were tremendous. They still meet together. This is 15 years after I did it, so they said, we still meet together, we're all in different companies now, but we do it differently. We meet and we talk about leadership issues. We have still senior leadership roles, but in different companies, and we really can work on each other. She also says that she's done an academic career now and has an impact on the academic world, as well as the trade associations she's working with in communication. So in theory, she says, I impacted how we communicate between corporate world and outside in a much more communicative way than an informative way. When I work with leadership teams, what is the thing that I can focus on that create emergence for the future? What are the key themes that I'm looking at working with leadership teams within my group I work in? There's two things. We all come from the pandemic. We have seen the Gaza war, we have seen the Ukraine war, we have seen the tariff war, we have seen all these things that are coming around. What I get the people to talk about in the management team today is how does that impact my work and our work, supply chains and everything. The second thing was also mentioned here a couple of times is about AI. And not AI from a computer science perspective. AI from a strategic perspective of how it impacts us 3 years from now, 5 years from now. I leave you with three things. Every leader I meet, I make them aware what influence their choices and what their choices are. They are the choices, and that has an impact on the future. So the consequences are important. Don't close doors. You talked about career in the panel discussion. Don't close doors too early. They might not be open yet for you, and you're not ready for them yet, but they will be soon. The last thing is coming from growing rabbit ears. Ensure what you do and listen to what happens outside, and that impacts you and the work you're working on. Make choices. And the beauty of choices, remember, as they define us. Not because they are perfect, because they reflect upon who we are and what we value. Thank you.